Before I begin, I want to make a big announcement. The full Igbo calendar is now available for your Apple and Google Calendar. I have created a calendar that tells the 13 moons, 4 market days, and different holidays and correlating rituals across the whole of Igbo land, as well as breakdowns of what they mean and the stories behind them. This is available for all patrons who join our community to support this channel at patreon.com/TheMedicineShell. But through the will to reconnect came an era of human mastery and self-awareness, which gave birth to the esoteric arts that we use today. This mastery of self on a material and astral level paved the way for what we will witness in the third age, Uga Anwu. The third age is known as Uga Anwu, the age of the rising sun. Uga Anwu marks the rise of human genius, the ability for individuals to master the world around them and apply universal knowledge to the advancement of the human race. In Uga Anwu, individuals became adepts and specialists in various fields of human endeavor and mixed practical and astral knowledge to take their respective fields to levels never seen before. In Uga Anwu, most lost their ability to communicate and access the astral plane through Ekili, but the few who retained it came to change the world around them. In this age, the world was sunny, unlike Uga Ichi, which is described as Madu no Chichi, or when the world was shadowy. On a physical level, this would symbolize what was happening universally, which was the triumph and rise of the sun and that which comes from it, which I'll elaborate on shortly. The people of this age are known as the children of the rising sun, or Umwangu, receivers and transmitters of Abbala. Abbala is the divine essence that radiates from one source to another. In this case, Abbala is the radiance that emits from Chukwu onto existence, from Chi to Eke, and because all things repeat themselves in nature, according to our ancestors, Chukwu is represented in microcosm as the sun, or Anyanwu, and Abbala is represented in microcosm by the rays of the sun. In a human being, this same aura or radiance is known as Mo, the immaterial essence that is you, but radiates from you onto the things and people around you. The radiance of the sun, or Abbala, is not only light that reaches and brightens the world. It is also a spirit of enlightenment, projecting Chukwu's will and wisdom onto an individual and creation. It is a source of clairvoyance and wisdom beyond an individual's personal wisdom. This wisdom is known as Uche, and while Uche is often translated as wisdom, it is important to note that in the mind of our ancestors, or in Igbo cosmology, the type of wisdom classified as Uche is not owned by an individual. Rather, it is something that is received, either as wisdom from another person or insight from forces beyond individuals. Abbala is also known as Abia, Abiyama, the Abia which reaches the earth, the essence and potency of God radiating onto earth in the form of wisdom and light. The ethereal nature of Chukwu, or the radiance of Chukwu, is also known as Osebuluwa, a divine spirit, which is Chukwu the way your Mo is you. In Uga Anwu, the age of the sun, those who could receive Abbala climbed to the heights of their societies and began to use divine wisdom to guide in the rebuilding of the world. In this age, human beings learned Nka, or crafts such as ironsmithing. It is also important to note that the world's oldest ironsmithing site is located in Lejayanugu in the Nsukka area of northeast Igbo land, and according to our ancestors was established in this era. Uga Anwu was also the time by which Chukwu began speaking through specific individuals. And across the world, this was an age of prophecy and divine inspiration. Chukwu, through the children of the rising sun, shed a level of wisdom onto humanity that allowed for the beginnings of human civilization. Human beings began living in cities. Clothing shifted from raffia, as was the norm in Uga Ichi, to cloth, which was the new norm, and the introduction of the art of weaving at its highest levels. A flourishing in creativity, technology, and art began, and an age of great migration where the sacred arts were spread from the point that they were received onto the rest of the world. In this age, the children of the rising sun traveled across the world, spreading the wisdom that they had received from beyond for the benefit of others. This is the age of the flourishing of gifts from Anyanwu, the force sent by Chukwu to earth to oversee creation, and our physical exemplar of the chi of an individual, and Chukwu as a whole. Anyanwu is Chukwu's representative on Earth. But Anyanwu is more than an Abbala. Like most mother Abbala, Anyanwu is a world unto herself. Within Anyanwu is Amadioha, which lives in her forehead. Amadioha is to Chukwu what your Ikenga is to you, as both are represented by the ram and possess your fighting ability and will as a human being, as well as an individual's inclination to leadership. The Ikenga is also connected to the right hand, as Amadioha is seen in some cultures as the right hand of Chukwu, or the hand that holds the universal Ofo. And as the holder of this Ofo, Amadioha is the keeper, protector, and enforcer of universal justice, order, balance, and peace. Uga Anwu mark themselves with the symbol of the sun, the Ichi. Ichi marks are solar etchings carved on the forehead of an enlightened individual. Upon receiving Ichi, individuals have made a declaration to represent light in the world and all it stands for. The Ichi do not violate the principles of their community's Ofo or that of their ancestors. They do not violate the principles of the land, and most importantly, they represent Abbala, or the godly presence in their community. They are a moral, ethical, and cultural constants in an ever-changing world, and for this reason are a source of guidance and representatives for the ancestors of their people. The children of the rising sun guided the emergence of civilization and godly living wherever they emerged. But on a lesser scale, Uga Anwu saw the introduction of environmental destruction. Human beings began cutting down trees and killing animals recklessly, as this was the time that human beings began putting their self-interest first and foremost. This is also the time that human beings began to go to war with one another. And in Uga Anwu, societies began living by a principle of male dominance. But upon seeing the age that will come, many of the enlighteners of the world chose to die with their knowledge and made the conscious decision not to teach the next generation what they know. Because from their visions of the future, the coming world was going to be one where their advancements would be used for bloodshed and destruction. Much of what was known during Uga Anwu died with those who know it, as the hands to come were not seen as worthy or capable of handling the power of the knowledge of the children of the rising sun. The people of Uga Anwu saw a future where people would turn completely against nature and one another, an age of deceit and death on an unprecedented scale. And in dying with their ancient knowledge, many of the children of the rising sun would not take part in